Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for Season 5 action, Tier 4 division. We're here in Bahrain. Joining me for all of it, as usual, well, not as usual, Unicorn. It's Tier 4, Season 5. How you doing?
Yeah, absolutely, Steve. It is good to be back. Tier 4, a new division. Same commentators, new division though. It's looking very, very exciting. We've got a lot of very fast drivers across the MRL this season, and that just means everything is going to be action-packed. We're kicking things off. Obviously, Bahrain Round One. It's been a while since we've been in single digits for rounds, but it's Bahrain, a very, very exciting track to watch. We always love coming here. There's a couple tricky corners, but a lot of fast-paced action as well. So it's a great place to see where the new division is. It's a great place for all of them to put, your foot down as well. Mark yourself as one of the front runners early on in the season.
Yeah, definitely. Now, for everybody that came through early and got to see the debut, of course, the unveiling of the new Season 5 intro, I edited that myself. I hope you enjoyed it. And of course, if you did, that will be live on YouTube in 15 minutes. And you can head on over there and you can see it all again. I really hope you guys like that. And of course, that is how we want to kick it off, with some intensity, some epic feeling. Get the hairs standing up on your arms. And of course, we're going to be heading into Bahrain, one of my personal favorite circuits. We've commentated it before, and we're going to commentate it again, of course. Secure Bahrain, 15 turns of intensity, 5.4 kilometers. And, well, we've seen some very, very intense racing around here in the past. Of course, this season, we're having an adjustment to our calendar. It is going to be a 15-round season. That's right, we were a 22-round season for the last two, for 3 and 4. Season 5, an adjustment. Of course, we've got 7 divisions now. The champions, of course, we have tiers 4 through 1, and the Americas tiers 2 and 1 divisions as well. Now, if we take a look at the calendar, from top to bottom on the left column, through into the center column, and then to the right column, we have Bahrain, Netherlands, Russia, Spa, Italy, Japan, Britain, Azerbaijan, Hungary, Singapore, France, Spain, Austria, Mexico, and for the final round, we go over to the iconic Brazil. And that will be, of course, the calendar for this season for all 7 racing divisions. Now, with that, it's time to introduce the 4th division. That's right. It is going to be in Mercedes, Jones and MVP Kieran. Over at Red Bull, Shadrin and Big Turbo, with Mercedes drivers Trick Sam and it's Fan. I hope I'm not butchering that terribly. Polypunk and Papa. For Ferrari, Super Noodle Bagel and IDJ for Alpha Tauri. IDJ making his debut for MRL. Of course, you can say hello to him. I do believe he's live. And we have Fabry Flame and Alberto Perez for Aston Martin. Of course, XTXP and driver DNF, if I'm not mistaken, they are in. The colors are getting me. It might be the Williams or the Alpine. But of course, we've got Daz and Undertaker in the Alfa Romeos. And then Lars and Blind in, again, either that Williams or the the Alpine. Matt and Grenade Gorin there in the Haas cars for this season, and we'll get a real good look as we come into racing action in just a moment. But before that, again, we take a look at the standings tower. We have not only the division constructors, but we have the combined constructors for these divisions as well. And with that being said, it is 3:01 here in Canada, and I believe it's 8:01 for you, Unicorn, and that means it is time to jump into action here for MRL Season 5.
Yeah, absolutely. Just waiting on the one last person to get into the lobby. They're on their way, so it won't be too long. But yeah, round 1, it'll be exciting not only for us and everyone watching at home as well, but this is the first time there's a lot of debut drivers here on the grid tonight in Tier 4, and that means, there's excitement, but there'll be nerves as well, and you've got to make sure that tonight you capitalize. It's important to go in with a strong footing. If you come in, with a bad first statement, it can really knock your confidence for the rest of the season because you don't see where you stack up. This is a great place to sort of find out who you'll be racing for the rest of the season, because right now it's the first race of course, MRL, and there'll be early days for most things. Obviously, the game hasn't been out too long in comparison to how long we'd had with the last release, so it's very important to get it right tonight. Bahrain, you know, you could say a fairly easy track to get around, not particularly easy to master, but yeah, very, very important to get a good result here. And everyone will be hoping. And we've got our last driver in, 20 drivers ready to go. And with that, we'll get everyone readied up. And, well, Season 5's drift can get right underway.
That's right. Season 5, Round 1, Bahrain. Again, one of my personal favorite circuits. So much straight line here. And you have that intricate section through into Sector 2. Of course, coming out of Turn 4. Then you come into, again, you have that hard Turn 10 here. Coming into that left-hand downhill braking, and then you're on a straight into turn 11 and 12, which can again be crucial. Before we jump into action here, I just want to say we have a hype train that has just maxed out at level 5. The support is so amazing in this community, in the F1 racing community, the league racing community, and thank you to everybody that has come through to check us out for Tier 4 racing. Of course, it's just going to ramp up from here. We have Tier 4 racing now, later this evening for the Americas with Tier 2. Tomorrow, we're going to be doing it all again for Tier 3, and then again, another Americas division. Wednesdays, Tier 2. Thursdays, Tier 1, and then on Saturdays, well, the Champions Division, where they are going to be doing the dance all season long for their piece of the €2,000 pie that is the starting prize pool for that division. And something fun to share, the championship driver for each division this season in the MRL will take home €50 themselves. So 7 champions will be crowned and 7 prize winners at that, with the exception, well, a few extras in that champions division, of course. But time to go racing here in Bahrain. And it appears I have a little bit of an audio bug on my end. I don't know if I can hear the game audio, but at the very least I do believe the stream can, and we'll jump into this right now.
Yeah, absolutely. 20 drivers, a few reserves in round 1. Only 3 drivers are missing, but we do have a full grid to kick off the action. And we'll go through that. We've got Shadrin up at the top there, Helium just below him, Undertaker, 4-door sedan, Lars, Kane, Jones, Blind Bazza, one of the reserves. They're filling in at Red Bull. Alberto Perez, XTXP, Fabry Flame, Super Noodle, Alexander Zhu, Polypunk, Daz, Grenade, IDJ, MVP Kieran, and then Papa at the bottom there. And we've got Fordor and Alexander there reserving as well.
Could appear I just have a bit of an audio issue on my end here. I'm going to see if I can get that fixed up really quick. If I can't, I will have to restart. I can't hear anything.
Right now, everyone staying very quiet in the garage, so no one out on track as of right now. I can't even hear any engines rumbling either, indicating that anyone's intending on going out right now. So we'll see what everyone's waiting for. But right now, a couple people starting to dance with potential mediums for their tyre choice. We'll see how that pans out. I imagine it will be soft for most people to start things off with. Again, we don't really know where everyone stacks up in terms of race pace. We haven't seen this grid together right now as we have our first car make his way onto the track. It's Grenade Goran over in the Haas camp. A very bold change to their livery this season. As we just wait for everything to come back on the stream, and of course, but the first qualifying of a season, always very, very important. Like we were saying, nerves will be high going into this. It's a track where mistakes can happen, and curbs this season a little bit harsher than they were in the previous season. So that weaving sector 2 can catch a few people out. We'll probably see it once or twice here in qualifying. I would be surprised if we didn't see it at all. And in the race as well, well, if you hit a wall at the wrong end, that could be race ending. We are running reduced damage, so it won't be too bad, but from what we've seen, the damage in this game a little bit harsher, I would say, than in the previous games. As we just gear up for the first flyer of the season. We've also got both Hasses behind each other, obviously Alexander here in a reserve capacity, but almost all of the cars are out on track now. Grenade just getting a little weave in to warm things up.
Sorry about this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just having a little bit of a technical issue on my end. We'll be back to qualifying in just a quick moment.
And for now, we'll keep everything in an audio capacity in terms of me telling you what's going on. And Grenade started it through turn 1 into turn 2. And so far, so good. A pretty easy invalidation if you just take too much through the second corner here. But so far, all good. Just using all the track on the left-hand side as he climbs the hill up into turn 4. DRS zone, of course, there. The first of 3 here in Bahrain into the tricky Sector 2. Steering clear of the curbs and managing short to get through there. All okay through turn 8. Again, slow right-hander to get through into the fast left-hander of turn 9. Slowing down, though, for turn 10. The harsh left-hander braking very heavily through there in the Haas. DRS open for the second time on the lap between turn 10 and turn 11. Overtakes down here. Possible as we fly down into 11 to come through into turn 12 and 13, a place where we've seen many spins in the past. That right-hand curve, Grenade here just staying well clear of that as he comes through into 13 and out of it. No problems so far. Again, probably one of the most likely places to invalidate coming out of that corner. Fast driver now coming down into the final corners, 14 and out into 15. Yellow flags being flashed. I think that's just slow-moving cars. And across the line, kicks things off with a 125.7 to open us up here in Bahrain.
If there's any audio issues, ladies and gentlemen, please let me know. Otherwise, we should be back and good to go here in qualifying. And I appreciate everyone's patience. We've got 4 times on the board as it stands. Polypunk currently on provisional pole.
Yeah, very nice from him getting up into that position early on here. Looks like we've got a couple of drivers coming across the line now. Time's really starting to fly in. Blind only good enough for ninth, but he's on that medium tire, 128.2, so we're definitely not going to see people qualifying on that. Surely as XTXP beats that by a couple of seconds, so maybe there is hope for the medium compound tire as Daz there goes up into P2, the Alfa Romeo into the 125.5s, just behind Polypunk by less than a tenth.
Alberto Perez, 6th position here in the Aston Martin. 126 dead.
Very satisfying to look at that on the time entire Helium here. Coming to round out his first lap of the season in the Alpine, and he's going to cross 13th, a 127.3, so a little bit of a tricky lap for him. That must have been only good enough there to put him in and amongst the medium runners, so definitely needs some improvement there. The Alpine. Papa in the Ferrari, he's flying through Sector 2. On the mediums as well, a 126.9, the best benchmark for those tyres.
W. Jones coming through the penultimate turn, now the final turn in the Mercedes, yet to set a time here, and unfortunately no time will be coming just yet as he heads into the pit lane.
Yeah, most people their first time on the board now, and they were shaken off the cobwebs, gotten themselves back into the mindset. Papa having a little bit of a problem coming through turn 12, a little correction there. Set himself up for 13 right in that Ferrari. Now coming down towards the final 2 corners. Green flags flying as he comes through into 14 out of 15. We'll see where this puts the Ferrari. It won't be anything special given it is on the medium tyres, but does he beat the rest of the mediums? He does. So 126.8. So a 10th clear of XGXP there in 13th. I think I'll be happy with that. Good pace for the Ferrari on that harder compounded tyre. As Helium flies up into the top spot, 2 laps down and a 125 flat. He found the pace that he needed to. That first lap really was missing something, but whatever it was, he's found it there by half a second on the rest of the field.
A very good lap from him. The Alpine fans will be thrilled about it. Polypunk in the pit lane right now is going to be assessing what he needs to do. There was a driver off there DJ making his debut in the AlphaTauri. He's having a little bit of an issue, and he'll be going again soon. Just taking a look right now to see if we can find any damage.
It didn't look like he hit a wall for me.
Nerves will be high coming into a league race after a season like, well, DJ, everyone knows DJ. He's a great guy, nice guy, and coming into a league like this, I imagine there's going to be a little bit of nerves first lap out. And
well, it's nothing major, just a slow spin coming through out of turn 4. And again, if you're looking at the areas where you might have a mistake on this track, that's going to be one of the corners that after, you know, the 45 minutes or so of the race, I would be surprised if we didn't see anyone have an issue through there. It's been one of some of the biggest incidents at this track we've seen. But I imagine he'll go again here just to get a lap time on the board, provided he's got enough fuel. He's going to come in. So maybe those tyres a little bit harsher after that spin than he would like. Coming back in, like you said, no damage, I don't think, on that AlphaTauri, but into the pit lane nonetheless. He's one of 4 drivers yet to set a time. The Red Bull of Shadra in there. He's flying through Sector 2, and he yet to set a time. We'll see what he's capable of. Again, we haven't got a championship leader. We don't have any real benchmarks. Obviously, a little bit of pre-season action. But this is the first time that everyone will have been against each other. And we get to see a true sense of how they stack up against one another.
well, practice races, what you see in the practice races and what we saw in preseason, and you always see a bit of a sandbox of divisions. Everyone's in there to try and get their pace down. There isn't as much overtaking, but there, you know, it does exist. But they're in there to try and get themselves set up for these races right here and these qualifying sessions right here. You really get a good sense of the division, well, once you get into these division races. I mean, when you go into the preseason, you can't get that good sense. Like you said, we had a bit of preseason, but that doesn't give us a clear-cut indicator of who's going to be on top in the division.
Yeah, absolutely. You take a different mentality into those races as well. You're just trying to, you know, keep it as, you know, settled as you can in a preseason race. Just get through, no issues, no mistakes. Here, they'll be pushing a bit harder, trying to find as much pace because now points are on the line, and that's what they're here to fight for. And they want to win that championship at the end of the day. Polypunk, currently P2. He's about to round out his second flying lap of the session on 125.5, his personal best. It was pole for quite some time before Helium snuck in there with the 125 flat. Can he get anywhere close in the Ferrari? Well, he's done a lot better than he did on the first run. 3.5 tenths found, but it's still second place for him in that Scuderia. And Helium looking like he's very strong up at the front right now.
Yeah, he really does have a good cut ahead of Polypunk there, a 10th, and he has yet to come through and set another lap. We have a few drivers coming through here. McLarens are both in the top 10. Four-door, the lead driver of those two, and he's done it on the medium compound tires, and he's now on a set of softs, running another lap. No, excuse me. He set his time on the softs after 2 laps. Now he is on the mediums. Not a single time set in the top 10 on the mediums as it stands now.
Yeah, it's interesting he's done that as well. From what we've seen in terms of the best lap times on the mediums, I don't know, the 126.8 of Papa on that Ferrari. Beating, you know, a 125.9 would be quite the achievement here for four-door. He is here in a reserve capacity over at McLaren, releasing Trick Sam there for the first race of the season. Alberto Perez just hopped up into P4, I believe, 125.5 for the Aston Martin.
Nice lap from him there. Alberto Perez, a driver we have seen at the tail end of season 4.
Lars now, he's going to finish out his lap as well. Currently P6, so 125.6, and it's a 125.2 from the Williams to put himself up into the top 3. We've seen a little bit with the new game as well. Track evolution in qualifying seems to be a little bit heavier than it was in the previous game, so time can be found. He found about 3.5 tenths, similar to what we saw the improvement from Polypunk there. So The top guys right now in the division are finding more pace. Papa, he's on the softs. Let's see where he lands himself. He's up by over a second. He goes into 7th place, 125.5, 1.2 seconds gain for him in the Ferrari. That's 2 Ferraris up into the top 10.
DJ now, he's flying into turn 11 here. He's got a little bit of traffic that he's pushing through. He just passed one of the Aston Martins. He's got an Alfa Romeo ahead of him pushing through turn 13. Very, very careful here as he comes through turn 12. He does not want to lose the car, and he was pushing through there. He comes out of turn 13.
Bit risky going on mediums at this late stage in the session. No time set, a mistake on the board, but that shows me he's not really wavered by that mistake earlier on turn 4. He's still soldiering on as he goes across the line now. It is a 128.1, 2/10 off of Undertaker, but there should be just enough time to squeeze in another run on softs. Let's see if he's got it in him though. He'll have to sort of push on the sim lap a little bit to make sure he does.
One thing I can say about DJ, just from my experience driving with him, is he's most definitely a better race driver than a qualifying driver. And there's a lot of people in the chat, and even myself included, that might be able to sympathize with that. Some drivers excel in qualifying and some drivers don't. And DJ is a driver who has told me before, racing in the race with the other cars, of course, when things are on the line, that is the environment that he prefers. The qualifying is just the, it's the pre-show for him. And he doesn't seem, as you said, rattled by that mistake in his first run here, and I don't believe we'll see another run come out of him. A lot of drivers in right now. Dazister flying into turn 4.
Yeah, and there aren't any points for qualifying, so it's probably better to be suited to the race. If you're going to be suited to one or the other, at the end of the day, you can gain places in the race. You can't make up for a bad race with qualifying. No, like you said, Daz coming through out of turn 8 now in that Alfa Romeo, currently 6th place, just 1,000ths behind Alberto Perez. So he doesn't need to find a lot to put himself back into that top 5 that he was in for about half the session. Now just 2.5 minutes left in the first qualifying of the new season. The first we've seen for Tier 4, and taking all of the curve on the outside as he comes through into turn 11. Very, very nicely done through there, through turn 12. Very, very clean. Just needs to make sure he doesn't invalidate here as he uses all the inside curve and the outside curve through 13. That is a very, very nice line for the Alfa Romeo as he fires it down into 14. The last 2 corners here. Through 14 nicely, out through 15. Where is this going to put him? It should be his last run unless he goes again on these tires, and it's going to be P2, a 125.117. Very nicely done from the Alfa Romeo, but there's a lot of drivers who I think are capable of beating that. We've got Polypunk on an outlap. We've got Alberto Perez, who was just 1,000ths ahead of Daz a moment ago. We'll see whether that gets replicated in a second. It looks like we've got both Red Bulls on flyers as well, Shadrin and Baza over there.
Shadrin coming through one of my favorite sequences of this of this track, of this circuit, of course, the 11, 12, 13 in Sector 3. And now he comes into turns 14 and 15, the penultimate and final turn here. Is it enough to launch, at the very least, one of the Charging Bulls into the top 10 across the line? He improves by a 10th, but it's not enough, of course, to move himself ahead of where he wants to be. Baza, the driver we're familiar with, a 26.724. The other Red Bull now coming into, again, the penultimate and final turns. What is he able to put on the board? Can he beat out his teammate? Can he make the top 10? DRS on the rear to the line. He improves. A very, very good improvement at that, near half second. And it does put him in front of Shadrin, but not in front of Blind. Blind a 10th ahead of them. Actually, just about half a 10th in front of them there. And things on this grid extremely tight. Undertaker on the move out of 10.
Yeah, one big story, Jeff Helium currently leading with a very, very strong time. He span it in the opening sector, and now he does not have enough time to get around, I don't think, unless there is a bit of desync. We did see all of the cars stay in the garage at the start of the session for a very long time. It's a glitch we've seen in the previous game, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's carried over. Hopefully it hasn't, but Helium will be hoping so. There's only 10 seconds left on our clock as it keeps getting blocked by the time. As Polypunk, well, there goes the man in P2 up into P1, a 124.928. Very, very nicely done from the Ferrari.
What a lap. What a lap. And a lot of fans of the MRL know I'm a bit partial there to the Scuderia, and Polypunk getting it done for the Spanish as well. The number 74 Ferrari. Looking like he's going to secure that Fabry Flame in the Aston Martin. He's pushing a lap now.
A couple of people struggling now, trying to find all their time. Super Noodle not finding any improvement. Alberto Perez invalidated his lap. He's currently 7th, and well, he'll be disappointed with that, as you know, it come to the end, and having that knock late in qualifying, having a spin like we saw DJ early on in qualifying, you can get past that. He's on a flyer now. And that, if this is a good lap, that'll get his confidence back up. It'll put you in the mindset. If you have a mistake on your last lap in qualifying, you're going to be annoyed with yourself going into that race. And it takes a lot to shake that off and get yourself in the mindset. There's only a formation lap between sort of now and then for these drivers. Lars.
I just want to interrupt for 1 second. Polypunk needs to be worried now because Helium did get across the line, and he is on a charge. We'll have to see if he has what it takes to beat out Polypunk for pole here.
Yeah, we got Lars the Grenade Goran as well in that fight. Lars will cross just before the Haas does. And we'll see what happens with these three drivers. They could all, I think, be on for that pole position. There's a lot of time to find for it. But we'll see what happens right now. It will be the Williams first as he comes out of turn 13. He'll be followed by Grenade. Then, of course, Helium, who was fastest by about half a second earlier in the session. We'll see whether he can re-establish that level of dominance in the closing stages of qualifying. We do expect there to be improvements, though, with the evolution. Here comes Lars, one of the final drivers to cross, and it's P2, a 124.9. It was close. It wasn't quite close enough. Grenade only finds 2/10 still
Helium
down in
spun.
P5. 2 spins late in qualifying. That is not good for the confidence levels.
Papa improves. He jumps into 6th in the other Ferrari, and I have to say the Scuderia are going to be happy about that. 2 cars in the top 6 here. And, of course, both Aston Martins at the tail end of the top 10 as well. XTXP rounding out the point starters here in that top 10. He'll be thrilled about that. But Polypunk, all eyes on the Ferraris here in round 1 of the Tier 4 division as the qualifying session draws to a close. My name is Stryfium here from Canada, and of course joining me from the UK, Unicorn. Take us through this lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very, very interesting. We've got Polypunk, like you say, on pole for the Ferrari there. Lars in the Williams in P2, lining up alongside him on the front row. Helium not able to close out that final lap. We saw him have problems at the end of qualifying. We'll see whether he can shake that off before we get into the race. Daz there in 4th for Alfa Romeo. Grenade Goran, 5th place for Haas. A good evening for them. They've got 2 cars up in the top 10. Papa in the Ferrari 6th place, and that's a very, very good start for them in the Scuderia. Alexander Ju, the reserve here for the Haas squad, in 7th. Fabry Flame and Alberto Perez, 8 and 9 for Aston Martin, and XTXP rounds out the top 10. And we've got 3 Brits in Kieran, Super Noodle, and Forder. Another reserve there in 11th, 12th, 13th. EW Jones in 14th, and we'll go through the rest of it in just a moment when we get on to that formation lap. But very, very tight there, Striv, in qualifying. You hope that translates to the race and the season as a whole, but it looks like it's going to be a very, very exciting grid for the next, 15 rounds.
Oh yeah, not only will it be an exciting grid for the Tier 4 division, Unicorn, but we have 7 grids of racing action for this Season 5 of MRL, and of course the Champions division with a bit of a, well, they're driving for a big prize, but all of these drivers and all of the divisions, Tier 4 through to 1, of course America's, the championship winner will take home 50 euros because, of course, we just want to support sim racing, we want to support community racing, and here we are for the first round of action. Of course, everybody tuning in the chat, everybody hanging for all of it, thank you so much for being here. Of course, if you're new, you can hit that follow button. We're live. Well, we haven't been live a lot lately, but I can tell you something, Unicorn, we're going to be alive a lot with racing action here on the Misfits Racing Link Twitch. And well, 2, 1, and 0, we're jumping into formation.
Absolutely looking at the back end of that grid that we didn't get the chance to see before we got round out of the qualifying results. We had Jones in P14 for the Mercedes. We've got Kaneda in 15th, Shadrin in 16th for Red Bull, Blind in 17th, Baza, the third and final reserve there in 18th, Undertaker in 19th, and IDJ down in 20th position. This is the first round, and like you said, Shift, not everyone as confident in qualifying as they are in the race. Plus, you do have the option to go with a slightly different strategy. And looking at the strategy here, obviously the top 10 on the soft. Then outside the top 10, well, almost all mediums, but Super Noodle in P12, opting for the hard compound tires there. The game suggesting a two-stop. We'll see whether that's what we see. Tire wear a little bit harsher than it was in last year's game, unless you've got a setup that really panders towards them, and they do exist, but very interesting strategy there. Hards in the first race of the season, 12th place on the grid. We'll see how that stacks up for him. It's a bold strategy call. Safety cars, of course, could play a role in the strategy as well. But we're on the formation lap. We're halfway through. Polypunk leading the charge in that Ferrari, followed by the Williams of Lars. And, well, it's the first race. 29 laps of a 15-round season. And like I said, this one's important, just to get you fired up, ready for the rest of the season. You want a good result here. And so far, obviously, you've already had one result. Your qualifying position in your first race this season, that will give them qualifying. And, well, Polypunk is really putting a bit of gap between him and the rest of the field.
Eager to go. A lot of these drivers, they've been waiting. Of course, we postponed the race start of the season, the debut of the season 1 week. These drivers getting a little bit of an extra time to get dialed in for this season. The game has presented challenges, and well, these drivers, it's time. We're getting to this grid. Let us know in the chat who you're rooting for. Who have you got on this podium? How many safety cars are we seeing? That's my personal favorite question to ask. And of course, Unicorn, as the front three get to the grid. Helium here in the Alpine. He was provisionally on pole, but 2 late spins in the qualifying saw him out of the qualifying. And now, well, not out of it. He's in third, but not where he wants to be. And so we'll have to see how the race start goes for all of these racers. And, well, the lights are on.
There we go. We've got 5 red lights lit up here in Bahrain for the first round of Tier 4. The glitch coming back from the last game, but we are away for Season 5 of MRL, and it's a bad start for Helium. He gets instantly taken by the Alfa Romeo. Does that. Alexander gets past Papa as well. The Ferrari later on the brakes. They're side by side through turn 1, as the 2 leaders are as well, but Polypunk holds on. Grenade. Helium still exchanging there. The Alpine and the Haas side by side as the other Haas gets past Papa, stays ahead as well, and now looks for the Alpine as they climb down into turn 4. The 2 Haases straight up into the top 5 here. 1 place for Grenade. Alexander gets a little bit squirrely out of turn 4 and loses to Helium. Papa tries to go side by side through sector 2. Doesn't want to risk that here, as there's exchanges further down this field.
Alberto
gets past Blind. Shadarin, 4-door exchange as well.
Oh, man.
And what an opening.
It has been a wild start to this race. The Aston Martins are on an absolute charge right now. Alberto Perez on the inside of XTXP. XTXP, he's actually holding off Kieran right now. Kieran on his left. He's on that inside as we have a drag race into turn 11 right now between the Alpine and Mercedes. XTXP started this race in 10th position. And ladies and gentlemen, we have just watched him fly ahead of that Mercedes into 8th. And he is off to a good start so far. Kieran on these mediums in 9th position. He's got Alberto Perez and Fabry. They want those slots back. And here we have another drag race into turn 14 between the Merc and Aston Martin, but it's going to be Kieran coming through ahead of that one for now. But what an exchange we've seen here. Grenade now. A little bit of an exchange for Grenade as he moves ahead of the Alfa Romeo. Dazister, no answer for this right now, but we have no DRS enabled just yet. Fabry and Kane with the drag race or an exchange toe-to-toe through turn 1 right now. Turn 2, Blind on the rear. Kane getting a little bit shaky through turn 3.
Yeah, some brilliant runs out of the final couple of corners. Polypunk already leaving the rest of the field a little bit behind. Lars is trying to break free as well. He's got this lap to do it before DRS starts to just hook Grenade to that gearbox of the Williams. And we saw Grenade. He had a great run out of that final corner. Had to use a bit of back cheat to do so and get past the Alfa Romeo. But now, through the opening sectors, he started to extend that gap as well. A little bit of a break between the softs and the mediums as well. We've got XTXB. He's 1.4 behind Papa. He's been fighting with Kieran, who's now dropping off the rear of the Alpine there. But he's had a great start on those mediums. Blind.
Well, Blind, Shadreen, Blind getting a little bit shaky through 10 there. He went off wide. I don't know if Shadreen gave him a bump, but it's opened the door for four-door. And as we say it, what's happened here? Lars, out of turn 12, is looking at the drivers coming through behind him. And now this is horrible for Lars, and this is not what he wants to be doing at all.
Yeah, and Super Noodle there with a damaged front wing, just having to avoid him going very, very wide through turn 13 to get past that Williams there, who had a great start to the season, great qualifying. Now sitting back, like you said, having to wait for everyone to come past as we've got a lot of here runs. Undertaker, a great run on Bazza here, mediums versus mediums. It's the Alfa Romeo on the inside of the Red Bull as they come down towards turn 1. Later on the brakes of the Red Bull, but Undertaker's still there, getting on the throttle early, but has to leave space on the inside, but it's going to be enough as Bazza drops that into 16th and might be vulnerable to Jones as well as Alexander and Papa. Alexander, what's happened to him? He's dropping like a stone. The Haas trying to rejoin. He's got no front wing strip.
That's very, very bad. I imagine, is there going to be a yellow for a VSC here? We have the yellow flag up, but he is going again. No VSC for the debris. There's an entire wing probably off the track considering where he went. DJ and Bazza really struggling right now as DJ has made his way from 20th position into 16th, ever tight for the Red Bull on the rear as we come through 10. What a view we saw of that. But Papa now, we're going to move back through up to the front of things as Helium in 4th position. He has not had the start he wants. Papa within half a second will be looking to hunt him down, and he's got a little bit of a breathing space with XTXP nearly 2 seconds on the rear.
Yeah, big separation in this grid. You can see it on the map. There's just these clumps of drivers. We've seen it before. We'll see it again here as people get comfortable. They start selling in. Grenade sets the fastest lap of the race. We'll see whether he can keep that going as Alberto Perez has a great run here on Kieran in that Mercedes. The Aston Martin breezes by Papa. Helium exchanging up at the front. Helium dropping to the Ferrari. And like you say, just not having the best race start as he just taps the rear.
That is huge. No!
The rule. He seems to get caught up very quickly. It didn't look like a reset, but it's his teammate behind him in XTXP just going up on the inside, and there is no front wing on that Alpine. This is the first time we've said that. This race front wing's already coming off, and that's the result of a big impact with the damage settings we're running as he drops through this field ever more.
That is not how Helium wanted to go through this, and he's got Kane sniffing that gearbox now as, of course, he's got no downforce on that front end. And we have another issue here. It's a Red Bull. Who is it? I think it's Bazza, and he's had an issue coming into turn 8.
A couple of shaky starts here again. We mentioned it in qualifying. Nerves will be up there. It's the first race, and obviously we haven't been league racing for quite some time with the off-season. In between games, Helium 4-door sedan. They're exchanging as the Alpine drops ever more. Down into 13th now. He will be even lower by the time he gets to the pit stop. As behind him, who was that? It was the Alpha Tauri of IDJ just sliding out of turn 12. No damage, but those tires won't be feeling too good after that one. Disaster going for Grenade Goran into turn 1, and as easy as you like up the inside. Late on the brakes though for the Haas, trying to find a way back, but the Alfa Romeo just closing that door, slamming it shut, not allowing any room for the Haas to come back through. But maybe into turn 4, the DRS goes to the Haas's favor, and he steams back through on the inside. Is there a switchback available for that's here? No, there's not. And Grenade Goran keeps second place. A nice patient bit of driving there. Read the track well and claims that second position. Is really steaming ahead as well out of the second sector. But they are dropping ever more to Polypunk, Shadrin, and Undertaker exchanging for 12th place. And the Red Bull has won that one coming out of turn 4 into 5. They'll be happy to have got up into 12th. These medium runners, a lot of them now running in the points or just outside of them, definitely on the table for a good pool of points, and their teams will be delighted for them as the battle for P2 rages on further up the track.
Well, Dazister and Grenade here having a little bit of a duel And as this duel wages on, Polypunk 3.1, nearly 3.2 away. And of course the softs, they're a tough tire around Bahrain. It won't be too long before we see the top 10 come in here. We're just on lap 5. Lap 6, excuse me. And I imagine it will be just a few more laps as Dazzester comes through steaming ahead of Grenade with utilization of that DRS. Fabry Flame as well, looking for Kieran here, the Aston Martin ahead of the Mercedes. Again, assisted by that DRS. Kieran holding tight through turn 1 and 2. Might have a possible switchback here. Grenade, nothing doing with Dazzestar. Here we go. Kieran, very tight to the inside. These mediums paying off.
Kieran just staying ahead there, fighting. Like you said, the tires will be starting to come into their own here. And we'll see how well everyone's managed it as well. But that's the kind of thing you don't see until you've seen drivers over the course of a few races. You get a sense who's better at what. Management is a big part, you know, of driving these cars in this game. ERS tires, all of that good stuff. And you know, we're seeing Daz and Grenade exchange lap after lap with that DRS. This time Daz has been able to stay ahead of Grenade there for P2. Last time we saw Grenade get back through on turn 4. Again, Kieran as well, he held onto it as well. We'll see whether there's an exchange. We'll see whether pit stops start coming through. I imagine for the likes of Polypunk, he'll go a lap longer than everyone else because you don't really want to be the first person, unless of course his deem it is the right time. It's too late. He's staying out again here, but it does give the likes of Daz Grenade options to undercut the Ferrari up at the front here. As we got another problem, it is Bazza again spun round. This time it's turn 4 for the Red Bull, and he is having a hard time of it, only here in a reserve capacity. But either way, on the season opener, you don't want to have a performance like that. Also worth pointing out, Daz stayed ahead of Grenade into turn 1 strip. He has not let that Haas through. He's not used more ERS than the Haas either.
No, he hasn't. And one battle that I want to bring our attention to is Kane looking for Fabry. Fabry starting to feel these soft tires. The medium runners are getting an edge, and we're seeing that in the McLaren, hunting this driver down for 8th position. I wonder if Fabry goes in at the end of lap 7 here.
Well, he is struggling on those softs. He's the lowest down on them, with the exception of Lars, all the way down in 16th place. And we saw him have that problem earlier on coming through into sector 3 in that Williams. But it would be a bold call. We'll see whether he does it. It might have to be a 2-stop if he did. But if he deems that's the best way to find some points here in and amongst what has been an interesting race so far for him, maybe a little bit tough fighting with a few medium runners after a poor start. But there's still a long way to go. 22 laps left. There'll be 21 when Polypunk crosses in just a few seconds time.
Quite a few battles waging on circuit right now. The tightest of them, this battle for 8th between the Aston Martin and the medium runner of Kane in 9th position. And I wonder here if we see Fabry come in. I think he's angling for it, and there we have it. Fabry will be the first driver of the soft starters to jump into this pit lane. And we'll have to see where he lands as a result, because this is a potential undercut.
Yeah, as we've got another problem for the Red Bull of Bazza. He is really struggling, and that yellow flag, it's not too far ahead of the leaders. Daz still holding on to P2 as well. He's gone to the hard for Brief Flame in the Aston Martin, so he is going to the end, but at a slower pace than if he'd have done medium. Switch IDJ and Lars there exchanging, and well, the AlphaTauri just getting out of the Williams, but it's not quite done yet as they go down towards turn 4. The pull of DRS and ERS combined the wings, the Williams back into 14th, but again, he's on those soft tires that are starting to die out now. 7 laps on them, managing to keep the AlphaTauri at bay for the time being.
Well, that's exactly it. It's for the time being. We come out of turn 10 in a few moments here. We'll see how DJ is able to hold Lars coming into this left-hander. He has these medium compound tires. He's going to have DRS, and this is where he'll want to really push. He has the battery to push. The exit was not the best. And he holds on with Lars well here, but of course, Fabry onto the hard compound tires. He's going for a soft, hard one-stop here, potentially. Papa is in, so Papa He's come in. Alberto as well, the other Aston Martin. Lars here. I wonder if he comes in with DJ sitting on his rear.
It looked like Grenade was toying with the idea as well. He pulled to the right, but when Daz didn't have any intention of doing the same, he just pulled out of it. The two McLarens now, four-door sedan. The reserve getting past the full time of Kane there. They're both on mediums and both in a nice points position. Like you said, Lars, he's in as well.
Hold the phone for a moment. Jones, Undertaker right now. They're in an exchange as we follow Shadreen through turn 7. And there's a lot of action happening now as these pit stops start to come through. Lars, of course, has now been passed by Alexander as Lars comes out of the pit lane. He did come in with DJ on his rear. DJ now into 13th position, starting this one in 20th.
Grenade around the outside of turn 13. That's a bold move if ever I've seen one, but he's made it work, Strift. That is absolutely incredible scenes from the Haas on round 1 to pull a move like that. That is absolutely beautiful driving there. He'll probably lose out on DRS, but with a move like that, it gives Daz the opportunity to go for the undercut as well. The Alfa Romeo slots into the pit lane. So whilst it may have been a beautiful move, has it compromised the Haas here? We'll see what the in-lap he's able to do with it. Daz into the pits. He'll be hoping to come out ahead of Papa in that Ferrari. P12 right now for him.
Jones, Shadrin, Undertaker right now locked in. Three-way battle. Shadrin looking for an opportunity into turn 1 on Jones, and Jones really having that car planted on the apex as he moves through into turn 2. Shadrin wanted to get up that inside, but there was no door there. And what's happened here? A safety car has been deployed. Baza has crashed out of this race. XTXP has the view here. He did crash out just coming out of turn 7. And on lap 10, we have ourselves our first safety car of the 5th season of MRL.
Well, this is awful news for some. I said it in qualifying that section of track, you hook the curb wrong, it will send your car flying towards the wall. It's awful news for the likes of Daz, who just came into the pits, and all of those other drivers from that soft compound who are now going to see their rivals up in the top 3, Polypunk, Grenade Goran, and XTXP, just breeze into the pit lane. They'll probably come in for mediums, which will be, preserved under the safety car. They could go for the hards if they want to protect themselves from the likes of Daz, but we'll see what they go for here. It's an interesting time for the safety car to come out. Super Noodle at the back there, and he's getting a pit stop done nice and early under the safety car. He's going to some fresh mediums. Expect that's what most of these drivers are going to do. Polypunk in, Grenade in as well. XTXP, I imagine, will join them in just a moment. What tires it is? It is the mediums. The yellow walls are out in the Ferrari garage. Let's see if the Haas squad are doing the same. They are indeed. So mediums for the top 3, it would seem, because it's mediums for XTXP as well in the Alpine. Then Kieran, 4-door sedan. Kane behind his teammate, and Jones isn't too far behind Kieran either. He gets held for a little bit, but the McLaren of Kane is sat there stationary waiting, and that's going to hold up the Red Bull of Shadrin there, who gets held behind the double-stacked McLaren. So this pit stop window has been a little bit hectic for some of the drivers, but Polypunk, well, he had an excellent start to this race. It's now been made a little bit better by the fact that safety car came out at a beautiful time for him. Able to retain his lead, free pit stop to the mediums. Same for Grenade. Papa up into 3rd. He got Daz on that undercut, and Daz on those hards. He'll struggle to keep up here at the start here, and he was fighting Grenade, who's now 2 places up the road on fresher and faster tires. XTXP on those fresh mediums too. He was 3rd when he pitted. He's come out in 5th behind Papa and Daz. Then you've got a lot of fresh hards on the grid as well. Shadrin, he's gone for the fresh softs. Just that seems like
that is a very interesting
bit of a
call.
bold strategy.
It could be, well, I mean, any MRL fans know my saying here. I mean, safety cars, they present these situations and scenarios where they could always generate another potential safety car. Shadrin could be of the gambling variety of driver, where he wants to go on these softs and figure, hey, what if I'm able to rocket ahead of this grid quickly? I've got these 3 guys on hards ahead of me and a bunch of mediums. What if I'm able to get myself into a prime position, and then, let's say, there's an issue within the first 2-3 laps of this safety car restart. The tire situation is very, very diverse on this grid, and of course he's the big outlier on these softs.
Well, according to the chat, that was not his intention. Apparently, he wanted to be alongside all of his other drivers on the hards there, but the game has given him softs for whatever reason, whether it's driver error or game error. It is unfortunate for the Red Bull, but like you said, an opportunity here might present itself. He should be able to get past the 3 drivers in front of him, no problem.
Well, he's cycling.
Well, it looks like he's going to come in. He's coming in.
Yeah, he's cycling his tires, so he is not happy with the pit lane. And I imagine there's some communication over the radio there with, well, as we know him, Mr. Jeff. And he's more than likely getting a very large earful after that issue.
He's gone onto the mediums though, so he wouldn't have been able to do this had that not happened. So he would have been on the hard tires. This gives him a little bit of extra pace. Obviously, he's down in 17th place. Not where he wants to be. He's going to come out just behind. Oh, is he just ahead of Super Noodle? That is crucial. And Super Noodle there slots in between the Red Bull and the Williams of Blind there, who also came in for a fresh set of mediums on the last lap of the safety car. You would imagine it would come in at the end of this one. The new red Mercedes here for round 1. I do think it is the only safety car in the game, if I'm not mistaken. I think the Aston Martin is in as well, but it is in that new color, the 2021 season.
I imagine there's a few drivers on this grid after some of the mishaps that are very thrilled about having this safety car restart. Bit of a do-over, bit of a rolling restart. One thing to note here is the position changes we have seen in the grid. The largest position gainer at this point in the campaign is the 12th position runner of IDJ. He started this campaign in 20th position. He is up to 12th, and he has served, of course, his mandatory pit stop. And he is on the hards, a very safe tire to the end of this campaign. So we'll have to see what he's able to do about the competition in front of him. Of course, we have Polypunk now, who is in control of the grid. The lights on the safety car have gone out, and it is on its way in as we have the grid restarting for Green Flag Racing on lap 13.
Yeah, also worth pointing out while we wait for Polypunk to restart it, PW Jones there, he picks up a drive-through penalty, so he's going to have to serve that one when we go green, and that's going to drop him to the rear. Here we go. I imagine Polypunk going to floor it now, and he does. Leaves the rest of the grid to accelerate just a little bit later. Grenade Gorin, though, reacted very, very nicely there, but it is a difficult restart for those drivers further down the grid. As one of the Mercedes, it is Jones coming straight in to serve that drive-through. Papa here looking for the inside into turn 1. Doesn't quite find it on Grenade. Looking to make it a Ferrari 1-2 here in the early stages of the restart. Kaneda, he's the big kink in the chain. 1 second down as Healy and Alexander exchange for 13th. The Haas getting through there quite nicely.
Yeah, quick move there for him. Papa not giving Grenade a lot of breathing room. And you know what this is doing for the Ferraris is it's giving Polypunk a potential breathing space. And Papa really just needs to keep applying pressure to Grenade. He needs to keep that red car, of course, in the rearview mirror as tightly as he can to keep Grenade on his toes. And he's not the only one. XTXP right now, he's putting pressure on Dazister, and notably, Dazister on these hards dropping out of DRS range of those in it front. Of course, we don't have DRS until the 3rd lap following safety car. But this is not good if you're a medium runner like XTXP right now. You want to be clearing this Alfa Romeo as quickly as you possibly can to maintain good pace with those medium runners, those light tire runners ahead of you. And of course, Papa, he's on 3-lap-old mediums. XTXP might just very well be able to hold him well if he's able to clear this Alfa Romeo, which right now, he is not able to do. Well, as I say, he's got a good push.
Got a great exit. Yeah, just using this down the straight. And there won't be too much that Daz could do about this as they fire down into turn 1, but we've seen it. It's happened too. That's when he was fighting Grenade. You can get the switchback back into turn 4 as the 2 cars behind as well. MVP Kieran and Ford are coming together as well. Not quite getting an exchange done, but A6B, look at the pace down into turn 4. He's got...
Sorry to interrupt you there, George, but Fabry wheel-to-wheel through 4. Fabry later on the brakes is going to hold it around the outside. What a defensive move from the Spaniard, and I have to say, Wow, I really like that one.
Yeah, I don't think Lars did though. I think he tapped the rear of the McLaren as Alexander Zhu gets past the IDJ, and as does Healy on the inside. IDJ having a bit of a struggle here on these hards, really dropping. He might get taken by Shadrin as well around the outside as they go down into turn 10. The Red Bull at the bottom, where there's a little tap between the two cars, and now the Alfa Romeo of Undertaker has a better exit than DJ, who had such a great start to this race, up 8 places with the help of the safety car, but now dropping all the way back down, tumbling through the grid to turn P16, and he won't be too happy about that. We are seeing gaps form as well up at the front. DRS train, it starts in P5 with Daz there, and Kieran just hanging on as well, but gaps are starting to form up at the front. DRS enabled, but it won't affect anyone until you finally away all the way down to Daz, who's just burning his ERS to try and keep up with the medium runner of XTXP there.
Yeah, well, XTXP 2 seconds on the rear of Papa, of course, and he just wants to push away from Dadister. Alberto Perez and Alexander exchanging now as Alexander on the inside into turn 1. Perez holding everything he can here, but, well, Alexander, a good exit. Perez is going to have the DRS now. Does he have enough to push back? Alexander had a good exit through 3. One thing I wanted to mention here about these hard compound tires, at the very least in DJ's case, of course, I spend some good time driving with DJ. I know one thing for certain. Anyone that pops in there and asks him about the hards, he hates the hards. He absolutely hates being on that tire, and I imagine he was happy to be in the position he was in, but the tire situation, he didn't have any options. He started on those mediums, and he couldn't make the softs to the end, and it was hards or nothing. And now, well, I know he hates that tire.
And he's under pressure from one Williams as the other Williams last has a bit of a problem into turn 10. Really slid. He was looking to make a couple places here on the hard runners ahead of him. He's got that faster medium tire, but he just lost traction, and subsequently he's just lost the gap between him, Fabry Flame, and Kane. As we've got another problem, it's Undertaker. What has happened to the Alfa Romeo? No visible damage. I think that was a braking board there we've just seen go flying across the track. I don't think it's past of the Alpha, but he drops to 18th place. We did see a yellow flag, nothing like a safety car or VSC coming as a result, though. Kieran under pressure from four-door sedan. Kane, the other McLaren, gets a position behind them as well for P8, but P6 heavily contested right now. It's hards versus hards, and Kieran hanging on for dear life, but the better exit is usually on the outside of 2 through the inside of 3. ERS and DRS pulling the McLaren into 6th place. Later on the base of the Mercedes, trying to find a way through the outside of 4. Doesn't quite find it, and he will slot back behind the McLaren into P7. Order up into 6th place. He will be happy with how this race has gone for him.
Yeah, without a doubt, this has been a great race for four-door sedan. He did some practicing yesterday, I know, and there's a few drivers that have been doing a lot of practice races. Shadrin's had an issue, and I am afraid he is off. Where we saw Baza, his teammate, have an issue. Shadrin right now, what has happened to this Red Bull? He has retired the car on circuit, and that is not something that we like to see here in the MRL. It's very unfortunate to see that, and the stewards are going to be looking at it most definitely, as I'm sure all the MRL familiar drivers are going to be coming through into the chat and saying they're bit.
Not a great debut drive for him, and obviously for Red Bull as a whole. Obviously only one driver here, that was Shadrin in the full-time seat. Baza as well, the reserve. Well, he was the first retirement we had in this race, so an awful start to the season for Red Bull. I imagine the other Red Bull drivers from the other tiers will be looking at that in dismay as Lars in the Williams looks at Fabry Flame. He is finally going to get past some of the hard runners. At least he's going to try, because Fabry Flame is putting up a stellar defense on the inside, but it's not quite good enough right now.
He's got the DRS.
Got a nice exit.
Lars got the DRS. Alexander.
They've got both the Aston Martins on the ass here as they come down into turn 4. This has given Lars the breathing room that he very much needed. Alberto Perez, not the best exit out of turn 4 that he needs for Fabry Flame. Holds on to P10, but what a great drive out of the corner for the Haas. And well, Lars, I think he got away a little bit lucky there as a result, for that battling behind.
Helium's here as well. He's looking at Alberto Perez on the inside as we come through turn 8, now 9, and he's still there. Well, he's on the rear now, looking back through on the inside of turn 10. Nothing doing just yet, but we have a very, very tight battle here for these drivers. Kane, an issue at the timing tower, showing an 18th position. I do believe is not in 18th position. We'll have that updated in just a moment as he's on the rear of Jones. Unless I've missed something terribly here.
He's not being shown blue flags, and I don't think he was exchanging with his teammate a few laps ago, so I imagine that it's just an inconsistent. We're seeing yellow flags in sector 2 as well, where there's no one around, so the game having a few quirks, it would seem, as we come into the mid portion of this race, but we're looking on board with Lars, the McLaren that is Kane, I do believe, on his inside there, side by side for what is 8th place. Is a bit difficult to work out. I imagine it's 8th. Lars is ahead. There's a little bit of contact between the two. It's all said and done right now, but Alexander there on the inside looking for a way past. Blue flags now are being shown. So a little bit of a problem for the McLaren. Hopefully he doesn't start picking up penalties for ignoring the blue flags. I don't think they are justified. He is, you would think, fighting in 9th right now behind Lars, but the blue flags are flashing on the right-hand side of the track. You can see it there as well. So Kane might be in a world of trouble here with a little bit of desync.
Yeah, very, very unfortunate here. Not entirely sure if we're going to see the blue flag, as you said, award him a penalty. We don't want to see it. We want to see the timing tower readjust and give us the appropriate picture. But as it stands, we've already gone a full lap right now. We have not yet seen that. Hopefully it's just, maybe it's a glitch on our end. That would be something I think I can live with.
I do believe it is a spectator glitch. There's no warnings in the race director for him for, you know, breaking those rules. So right now it seems that it is a spectator glitch. He's under pressure here, as is his teammate Fytron Sedan, losing out on P6. And Alexander is on the inside. We're not seeing the fight on the timing tower. We're seeing it on track, though, as the Haas breezes past. Ooh. And Alberto Perez here, as he's going to have a look at the McLaren as well. Both drivers with DRS as they come down towards turn 4. It's the outside for the Aston Martin. Later on the break, swoops around. That's a brilliant move there for the Aston Martin. He'll be happy to get up into the points. And there you go. Kane jumping back up to 11th on the timing tower. So that, whatever happened there, getting itself switched. As the two AlphaTauris exchange as well, Super Noodle up into 15th ahead of his teammate. There is a penalty there, though, for the leading AlphaTauri. That's 3 seconds. The only other driver with 3 seconds is Lars, up in 8th place. So that might drop him out of the points as it stands.
Well, one thing for certain, we're very happy to see that, of course, the grid timings have come back somewhat. Kane, when he crosses the line, hopefully he'll update properly with all of the drivers behind him as well. Helium, Fabry within a second of Helium doing everything he can to hunt down final points positions here.
And you can see as well the front runners, that broken up safety car restart is still going. They are still seconds away from one another. The front of this grid really starting to dominate, as there goes Fytron Sedan getting back past the Mercedes, exchanging.
Very late on the brakes for Kieran there.
Alexander getting past Lars as well. Lars lost a lot of time on that lap compared to his rivals, and he's out of battery as well, so as is Alexander here. Running very low on battery, single digits into the teens now as they recharge a bit. Kane as well. This could give Alberto Perez a great advantage towards the tail end of this race. He's got a bit more battery in that 35% range. And well, if he can hold on to that and keep that advantage, Kieran as well, he's got a whole host of batteries. There's a yellow flag. It's IDJ, I think, in the AlphaTauri. It is facing the wall in turn 4. We saw it in qualifying. We see it in the race. And that is a great disappointment to him in the debut drive for him. Down into 18th. He qualified 20th. I believe. Well, now down into 18th in the race.
Yeah, it's a very unfortunate debut for him. Bahrain circuit, well, he has very certain feelings about Bahrain, and he's got very certain feelings about the hard tires, and I can't say, you know, I blame him. Hard tires can be a tricky tire to be on. What has happened here? Undertaker is looking at a wall. The yellow flag is out, and I believe Jones has just passed him. Out of turn 12 right now. Undertaker in the wall. DJ coming behind now as well. Here in Alexander.
Oh, brilliant move. Absolutely. Kieran was looking for four-door sedan there in those opening few corners, and it opened the door. He slowed down to try and avoid an incident, and it opened the door for the Haas. It almost opened the door for the Williams as well, who's now going to look to capitalize to turn 4. Doesn't quite have the pace to get that one done, and Alberto Perez is looking on at all of this, ready and waiting to strike. He is just patiently waiting for the mistakes to come. He's got more battery than a lot of drivers ahead, with the exception of Kieran, who's dropped quite a few places in the last few laps. And we'll see whether he can hold on to some points here. And it is crucial to pick up some points early on, just so you've got a few under your belt and take that confidence with you into the rest of the season, knowing you're in that top 10 in the championship.
Yeah, it's going to be really wild for these drivers, as anyone that gets themselves on the podium, or at the very least in the points on the opening race of the season, they're going to have a little bit of a confidence boost, and especially if they make it through the entirety of the race without spins or issues. I mean, we have the 2 Red Bulls right now. They are, I imagine, going to have to go back to the drawing board and reassess things for the next race for round 2.
Alexander Dejou, he's looking for the McLaren again. We're seeing a lot of overtakes down this front straight. You expect to see it at Bahrain, and we're seeing it once more. The Haas, no problems there getting past. And the Williams, last failing to get past Kieran. Then back to those Red Bulls. They'll be hoping that Sabina, we haven't seen him drive tonight. We hope he'll be around next week to try and pick up some points, see where he lands in this grid. We are missing a few drivers. Kieran picked up a 3-second time penalty, and he's in this fight at the tail end of the point scoring positions. 8th place right now. Lars behind him has the 3 seconds as well. And Alberto Perez and even Kane and Helium will be looking at this, and they'll be excited because this could be their lifeline for points in this first race of the season. The top scoring points position, unless there's a mistake from those top drivers that we're seeing right now emerge in Tier 4 here. The likes of Polypunk, Grenade, Papa. This is a great start for Ferrari. In particular, a double podium would be an excellent start to the season. There's still 7 laps. It'll be 6 in a moment when we cross the line, as IDJ gets 17th place with Undertaker coming into the pit lane. Maybe an attempt at fastest lap. We'll have to wait and see if that's successful. It currently sits with Polypunk at 128.2. From what I can see, that is 3/10 faster, sorry, than anyone else's attempts.
Kieran making like he wanted to go into the pit lane there. Of course, he's just trying to keep Lars off of him. Lars now pushing. Does he have a look up the inside into turn 1? He's got the fronts to the rears. Now he's alongside. Now he's right next to the Mercedes through turn 1 on the inside, on the mediums. Lars is through, and does this really, really unsettle Kieran? Alberto Perez says yes, it does, and I want to come and push through into 9. Kieran's got that 3 seconds, and the further he drops outside of these good points, well, the more positions behind him up for grabs, really. We have Helium there, Kane. Alberto, however, not yet through on the Mercedes.
You got to hand it to, Kieran there for a great defense. Coming out of turn 4, it looked like he was going to lose that position to the Aston Martin behind, but he held on very, very nicely. Maybe the medium's starting to feel a little bit of wear, whereas the hard should still be feeling pretty strong in terms of tire wear. Obviously, the pace difference will be still there a little bit, but wear will start to equalize that. And Kieran, maybe his tires get a little bit of a second wind in this closing stage, and he's able to get back past Lars, but he needs to try and stay within DRS range of the cars behind. If he has dropped out of this, and it's going to be close, but I think he has. It's very close. He's just snuck in there. The timing line, I think it was about 9/10, and it was. So he does cling on to DRS. A bit of a push down the back straight there into turn 14.
Lars has no DRS. Neither does Kieran. Alberto Perez.
Lars has no ERS either.
Very intense battle here for the final point span positions. Lars and Kieran with those penalties. Man, what a monkey wrench in their races here. 3 seconds apiece.
Sector 1, yellow flag. Who is that? It's one of the AlphaTauris. Who is it? It's not ID yet. It's Super Noodle who's had a problem here. He's in the gravel trap. And is there damage on that AlphaTauri? It doesn't look like there is. It's an interesting incident there for him. Maybe slowed down enough by the gravel trap that is there outside of turn 3. But either way, dropping down quite substantially. No threats from behind, but now well and truly out of the points with that penalty to his name.
Undertaker coming through on the soft compound tire. If I'm not mistaken, he just removed a fastest lap from the Ferraris. Polypunk had held it previously, and he was looking like he would take the fastest lap here. Undertaker had other plans.
Yeah, speaking of someone who had other plans for this race, Shadrin just coming across to tell us that his retirement on track was forced. A issue with his pedals meant he had no accelerator coming out of that incident. As here goes Alberto Perez on Kieran to take 9th. The Aston Martin there starting himself in between the two drivers with the 3-second time penalties, and this is great news for him because if he can get past these guys, it means that the guys he will be fighting in terms of finishing positions get stuck behind them for a little bit, and maybe he's able to hunt down Ford or Sedan as well, depending on whose tires hold up. You'd imagine the hards will have a little bit of advantage at the end.
Yeah, the tire strategy here, very curious to see how it pans out on the lap 28, 29 range. Canay.
Oh, a little bit of contact.
Fordor and Lars there, yeah, they're getting a little bit of a dance going.
That's what Alberto Perez wants. Like I said, he's really fighting Canay and Ford, the two McLarens here. The other two drivers around them, they've got those penalties. Helium as well to a lesser extent, all the way down in 12th place, but he could be climbing with those penalties ahead of him. But Alberto Perez, if he can get at Ford or Sedan, get ahead of that McLaren, there's only a few laps left. It would be a very, very interesting battle to see. And Alberto Perez will be hungry for those points because he's a full-time driver. Ford is a reserve filling in for Trick Sam today in that McLaren seat. See what is going on there, but it's all going to be to the checkered flag. Lap 26 of 29. Almost there, almost at the final hurdle for these drivers, and it's been a very, very exciting opening race. It's Fordor and Lars exchange. It's the Williams up into 7th, and that is excellent news for the Aston Martin as Helium and Canay exchange as well.
A little bit of contact there. We heard it. Fordor looking back for Lars. Lars under threat because of the DRS into turn 4. However, holding well on the inside here of turn 4. What a nicely held turn for Lars.
Absolutely, and that is just going to be putting Ford under a lot of pressure from behind, and he'll feel that as we go through, out of turn 10 DRS for the Aston Martin. You can see Alberto Perez is just starting to feel the effects of tire wear. I think just a little bit careful on the exit of the corners. He's pushing now as he gets DRS, but just not as fast as Ford, who's also got DRS ahead, of course, on Lars. Lars, the battery for him is so low, but it's low for the two drivers behind as well. Kieran, he's got a lot of battery left in the tank, and that might be his saving grace, but that penalty is going to relegate him out of the points as it stands. The same is true for Lars as well.
Oh, Mark doing me a solid there, letting me know that Dazister has really started to close things down on XTXP. And look at the run he's got into turn 1 here. Does he send it on the inside? No, he's going to be patient, and I think we might even see a potential exchange here for position 4 in turn 4. We'll see. The exit here for Dazister, not the greatest. XTXP pushing off to the inside there, trying to avoid. Lars and Fordor have another exchange. Lars still holding the McLaren off. We want to focus on this battle for 4th right now. No penalties in it between this pair. Half a second is the gap. Hards versus mediums, and we are on lap 27 of 29.
Yeah, and it's looking good for Daz in that 5th position. Those hards, they will be coming alive in comparison to the mediums. Blind picks up a 3-second time penalty. Fordor and Lars mentioned it. They were side by side for the opening few corners, but Lars just keeping the McLaren at bay. And with the tyres, they're older and they're softer, so they will be feeling awful in comparison to Fordor's tyres. So to hold him up is really just a testament the Lars' driving ability here. Forward, although, well, he'll be feeling it now. Alberto Perez, though, hasn't found a way through, hasn't been able to capitalize on the battle in front of them. As we all get ready to come down the start-finish straight for the penultimate lap. It's lap 28 and 29. Polypunk, Grenade, they've crossed onto it. The other Ferrari, Papa, will do so as well. Does Daz get the move here? This is his last shot into turn 1 to make the move, and you'd want to say this is where you want to get it done, and it is the best overtaking spot on the track, and he's just going to breeze past XTXP, who's got a lot less in the tank in terms of ERS as well. So if Daz can hold this off, it will be a brilliant fight for P4. Sedan, Lars still fighting, but Lars not giving him the light of day and is keeping 7th place. Obviously, the penalty will probably relegate him at the end of the race as Alberto Perez is looking for it into turn 4. Does he find it? No, he doesn't. No room for a lunge there. Keeps himself patient, keeps himself out of it. He's got one more lap, 1.5. There aren't a lot of overtaking spots in the second half of this lap. Kieran as well is looking at Alberto Perez and is going to go for a lunge into turn 8. Hasn't quite worked out for the Mercedes there. And he almost spun them both. And that would have been very tricky for him. Helium, Kane behind them. They're looking and there's a little bit of contact there as well. This battle for the final points positions is heating up. Everyone is hungry for 1 or 2 points. There's a few more available for the likes of Alberto Perez, four-door sedan. But there is elbows coming out strip as we come on to the final lap. Polypunk about to cross onto it.
Now quickly, just to pay a quick mention to the chat, there is a straw poll going. You can select your driver of the day here for round 1 tier 4 action. So jump on into that straw poll and let us know who you've got as your driver of the day. And XTXP now on the rear of Dazister. This is crucial for XTXP here to get tight to this Alfa Romeo. Does he look to the inside? No, but he needs to have a good exit here. There is a turn 4 opportunity, and there is a opportunity into turn 11. It is the final lap of this race, a fight for 4th position. Dazister holding off the Alpine driver of XTXP through into turn 4. We push back, nothing doing just yet between these two. 4-door sedan on the rear of Lars. Lars through turn 4 himself. Half a second the separation right now. Of course, a penalty in it for the Williams driver, holding off the McLaren. Alberto Perez in 9th, Kieran in 10th. He's holding a penalty, and as is Helium. Fabry and Blind now in exchange, as Blind edges in front of the Spaniard with the mediums for 13th position. We are on the final lap of this race, and Super Noodle Bagel has taken the fastest lap from Undertaker, 27.774. Now the fastest lap of this campaign.
And that takes the Grand Slam away from the man who is about to cross as the first winner of Tier 4, the first winner of Season 5 as well. Polypunk, a dominant performance all evening. That Ferrari brings it home in first. Grenade Goran crosses in P2. And well, it's a double podium for the Scuderia as Papa crosses the line in 3rd place as well. A well-timed safety car really held up those two at the top. And Disaster, well, it could have been a podium for him. A great drive to secure 4th. A poorly timed safety car for him as Hardslow coming in clutch at the end against XXP. Alexander Chu coming home in 6th place ahead of four-door sedan Alberto Perez in 8th, Kane in 9th, and Lars down to 10th after the penalties applied, with Kieran behind him in 11th, just outside of the points. Helium in 12th, Fabry Flame in 13th, Jones in 14th, Blind in 15th. Super Noodle, well, he's taken the fastest lap out of the top 10. Neither he nor his teammate in it could have got the point, but he does get fastest lap despite that. He does have a time penalty here. It shouldn't cost him anything. It's only 3 seconds. And his teammate IDJ 10 seconds down in 17th place. And Undertaker down in 18th as well. Disappointing evening for all these drivers at the lower end of the grid in the first race. A disappointing evening, though, for Red Bull's Shift. Shadrin, the full-time driver, 19th. Retired with a pedal problem, and Baza, the reserve, retiring early on with a crash in Sector 2.
What a race, what a debut race for the Tier 4 division to kick off Season 5. Of course, the combined constructors will be underway as well, with all of the divisions now kicking off this week. And the Red Bulls are definitely going to be heading to the drawing board. As you said, a very unfortunate race for them. 2 retirements here in this one, but It's all about these Ferraris today. It's all about Polypunk. He came in, he took pole position, he held fastest lap for quite some time, and I have to say, he led this race from start to finish here, Unicorn, and it was a stellar, consistent drive from him. A very, very good showing for Polypunk, of course. Both Ferraris on the podium. I'm happy about that, and we're going to have interviews with our top three in just a few moments. Polypunk, Grenade, and Papa. What a podium, of course. Polypunk started on the front row in that pole position. Grenade in 5th and Papa in 6th. That's where they started, so they are going to be thrilled about coming through to collect a podium after a very tight race. Of course, Super Noodle Bagel, that 127.774, getting that extra point outside of the top 10 so that no one can get it, and so they'll neutralize that. Ferrari had it for some time. That's just one less point for Ferrari in this championship as we move ahead for the combined and the division constructors. What a thrilling campaign. I cannot say it enough, and with that, we're going to jump into interviews in just a short moment, Unicorn.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great race. And like you said, there was a few positions there that just you didn't see in qualifying. Some people, really came out of the gates in the race, and we mentioned it, that, a good race can make up for a bad qualifying, or maybe just a subpar qualifying, or if someone's better at racing, then you see it there really take advantage. You've got, Lars qualified P2, had a problem early on, able to get back for 1 point in that Williams for 10th place, but only 1 point. It could have been a lot more. And Helium as well, he started 3rd place, dropped early on in the first few laps, and only able to finish 12th as well. You got Grenade Gorant coming from 5th to finish 2nd, and Papa as well, 6th to 3rd. Obviously, the safety car helped. He held on to 4th, started 4th, finished 4th as well. So, all around, a very, very exciting race to kickstart not only Tier 4, but Season 5 as a whole. I'm sure there'll be plenty of people as well who won't have been enjoying that race, who would have found that a little bit disappointing. They'll be looking to bring it next week in the Netherlands, seeing what they can do around Zandvoort. It's a very, very different track to the one we've got here in Bahrain. And as such, maybe we'll see a few drivers who are better at those closed circuits. Qualifying a little bit more important there than it is here in Bahrain. Strategy as well. So we'll see how that handles things and how everyone handles it as well. But we do have a few interviewees ready and waiting. And, well, hopefully we can interview with all of the drivers, but at least 2 are ready and waiting, Striff.
Well, we'll start with what we have, and we'll go with Grenade. Welcome. Oh, I didn't get it. I have to drag there. Thank you, Mr. Unicorn. Of course, we have Grenade joining us for an interview. What a race we saw today from you today, and you started this one in 5th position. How was it? First round, Bahrain, collecting a podium. I imagine that's there can't be a better way to start the season. Except maybe a win. But congratulations, Grenade. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks. It was super fun to be racing again. It was a good race. Not so much happened, and I was a bit out of pace from the leader one. I don't remember his name, but he was a bit faster today.
It was a very intense race. Very intense race. Thoughts on the safety car?
Yeah, it's come perfectly. It was super timing. So I was yelling here by myself.
Unicorn, any questions for Grenade? I mean, of course, Grenade, you joined us for commentary and podiums and wins in Season 4. What are your expectations for Season 5?
Yeah, I think me and my teammate in the house will be back here some more times. We will be in the top spots, of course.
Unicorn, anything to say to Grenade?
Well, I just think, Grenade, you said it there. You sound confident after that one. Obviously, a big morale booster getting a podium in the first race of the season. You seem to be taking that forward, but, how much do you expect now? Obviously, this is just the first race. Everyone puts in a lot of effort into this first round, but, were you expecting a podium, straight out of the gates, or has now that getting it, is that what's boosted your confidence, or were you confident, an hour and a half ago before we started?
Yeah, I'm aiming for P1 the rest of the season, of course, but I get a really good setup from my teammates in Haas, so they they will help me the full season, of course. Yep. I think we got a good chance to win this. Me and Matt.
Absolutely. Well, it's good to hear you're already getting along with your teammates, and obviously, a win here. Congratulate P2 here, a podium early on in the first race of the season. Congratulations, and well, you said it yourself. You expect to be here as well in the future, and we look forward to your races over the next 15 rounds of racing. But Grenade, congratulations on this podium.
See you next week. Bye.
All right, that was Grenade, and of course, next up we have one more interview. We don't have all three drivers, but we do have one half of the Ferrari squad with us now, and well, joining us with a win. It is the Ferrari driver for Tier 4, our first round winner. It is Polypunk. Congratulations, and I just want to say before we begin, you took driver of the day with 45% of the vote. Congratulations. What a stellar debut for Tier 4 as a division, and well, how you feeling?
Well, I feel so tired. Maybe, I don't know if the race looked like easy, but it wasn't at all. And that safety car, I don't know, I had like 3 seconds to grenade. I was kind of fine, and I had to fight again for the rest of the race, and I don't know, I'm just happy and so tired.
Bahrain, obviously, it's a very fast-paced circuit. Your teammate in the other Ferrari taking 3rd position, a good start for the team. But what does this mean for you moving ahead for the next 14 rounds of racing, of course? This is a very, very tight grid, as you saw today. You said it wasn't easy. Was Bahrain one of your stronger circuits, or what can we expect from Polypunk moving into round 2?
I mean, in last game it wasn't one of my best for sure, but in this game I took a lot of practice in this last couple of weeks, and I was watching the other drivers, and I always felt like I was quick, maybe not for taking the win at the first race, but I feel good, to be honest.
Well, it was a thrilling drive. You took qualifying pole position. You had fastest lap for some time, and I don't know if anyone told you, but you did lead the race from start to finish. Even with all the safety car and everything, there was no exchanging of that first position for you. So it was a very, very stellar drive. Of course, driver of the day, Unicorn. Any words for our first race winner for Tier 4 this season?
Well, yeah, it's just like, I don't think you could have had much more of a better start to the season. Polypunk, there's not too much to talk about in that race. You were, leading, like just said, the whole way through, and the world time safety car, it was almost a grand slam, but again, this just has to fuel not only you, but Ferrari with confidence as well. A double podium there. Not only, obviously the championship for yourself, but are you confident in sort of the constructors as well now with, how you and your teammate have performed here in Bahrain?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know my teammate, but watching this race, I feel confident about the team. Not that much about me, because I know I need a lot of practice to beat all of them, because they are so fast, and well, I'm want to race again.
Well, Polypunk, you've achieved it here in the first race week. We'll see what you can do in the other 14, but congratulations, you're the first winner of Tier 4. You're the first winner, of course, as well in Season 5, and we'll see whether you can replicate that success at some point in the rest of the seasons, maybe even in the Netherlands next week. But congratulations, Polypunk, and I appreciate you taking the time to interview us as well.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Polypunk. I think I just moved Unicorn by accident. But there we go. That, ladies and gentlemen, is going to wrap up the first race of the evening. Of course, we have a race much later for the Americas. It will be the Tier 2 division, and I will be commentating that once again here live on the Misfits Racing League Twitch. And I'm hoping to see you there, because the America's divisions are also going to be extremely exciting, just as we've seen here for Tier 4. One thing I just want to say is a massive shout out to our great partners, Fytron Software. If you didn't know, we have a new partner this season, Fytron. A great partner to have. Of course, they're a software developer. They currently work with engine builders around the globe, and definitely help us out in checking out their website. The link is around here, and you can find it in all of our videos and in the Discord as well. Now, with that said, well, Unicorn, tomorrow, Tier 3. Following that, Tier 2. We've got racing all week. We've got the Champions Grid. Season 5 is here. Misfits are back. What an exciting race we had for this one, and I could not be more excited. Anything from you before we wrap things up with, well, the outro and head off? Till next time.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great, start to Season 5. It's a great start for Tier 4, and it sets a high bar for the rest of the week. Obviously, all of the grids new. We've seen it here. A lot of debuts for some drivers that we haven't seen before. We haven't seen a lot of, and well, that's always exciting. But thank you to everyone who's tuned in for the first race of the new season. We'll be back tomorrow, of course, same time, same place for Tier 3. But like Striff said, America's is later tonight in, well, what is that? About 4.5 hours from now. So look forward to that one. But yeah, as always, Striff, a pleasure. It's good to be back. Take it easy, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your evening, day, where it is that you are in.
Have a great night, everybody, and see you next time.